There's a few moments in this run where I should have lost the car completely, but the extra angle keeps saving it. And at first it feels like an advantage because I can come in too hot, get the rear further out than I meant to, and still keep the run alive. But the more I watch this back, the more obvious it got. More angle didn't make this run faster, it just let me get away with bigger mistakes. So just to be clear, this wasn't me trying to prove that big angle drifting is somehow faster than a cleaner low angle run, because it isn't. If the goal is pure lap time, a more minimal angle style, something closer to old school Keshi Tsuchiya kind of drifting with no modern angle kit equipped, or just straight up grip, is always going to be the quicker way around. That part's obvious. What I wanted to test was something a little different. I wanted to see what happens when you take a modern drift build, something with way more steering angle, just like what you would build on a real drift car with using modified knuckles or an angle kit, that those earlier cars never had, and then try to push it as hard as possible for speed anyway. Not for style, not for max points, just to see what kind of driving it creates when the car has that much room to catch itself. And that's why the DWG mod felt like the perfect car for this, because this is exactly the kind of setup people associate with big modern show drifts. Tons of angle, lots of front steering, a car that can stay alive in situations where an older setup would probably just say no and throw you into the wall. So going into this run, I already knew the car was going to give me more freedom to be messy. I just didn't fully realize how much that was going to change the way I approach corners once I started pushing harder. Because the weird thing with extra angle is, it doesn't just save the car, it changes your behavior before the mistake even happens. That's where the difference between speed and drama starts becoming super obvious. Big angle can make a section look more intense because there's more steering, more visible correction, more of that feeling like the car is right on the edge and somehow still hanging on. But fast doesn't always look like that. A genuinely quick run usually looks a little more boring than people expect. The car is calmer, the line is cleaner, and the driver isn't having to do all this visible, last-second problem solving. You're not seeing a constant series of heroic saves because the fastest version of the corner usually doesn't need one. And that's kind of what this run kept exposing over and over. The exciting moments were also the moments where the line was already going wrong. So what does extra angle, then you might be asking yourself, really change? I don't think the real advantage of extra angle is speed. I think the real advantage is that it expands the range where the car still is catchable. It gives you more room after the mistake, not necessarily more performance before it. And that matters because those are two very different things. If the car gives you more catch range, you can enter a little hotter, push a little deeper, make slightly worse decisions, and still keep the run alive. That makes the car feel more capable, and in a sense, it could also make you think you're driving better than you actually are, because the car is covering for you. That's what I kept feeling here. Not that the extra angle was magically producing speed, but that it was letting me be sloppier without paying the full price immediately. And the funny part is, the genuinely quickest moments in this run are not the wildest looking ones. They're the sections where I get the car rotated, having it settle early enough, and then stop asking it to save me. The moment I'm not chasing the rear with extra steering, the car starts moving forward better. The exit gets cleaner, and I'm not wasting that little hesitation waiting for everything to line back up again. So the lesson from this run really isn't that angle is useless, because it clearly isn't. It saved the car multiple times. Without it, some of these sections probably would have ended up in a spin or at least a much uglier correction. But being saved is not the same thing as being fast. And that's probably the cleanest way to say it. More drift angle doesn't make this run faster. It just let me survive mistakes that would have completely exposed me in a lower angle setup without an angle kit or modified knuckles. Or in this case, a popular drift mod for Assetto Corsa. But the same mechanics apply to a real-world drift build. For the track, of course. So yeah, it saved the run, but it also revealed exactly where the speed was being lost. I'll catch you on the next run. Peace!